So this is a pretty important question you need to ask yourself, because we're not throwing a blanket statement out there about go buy flood properties, it doesn't matter. It definitely matters. There are houses to buy and there are houses to avoid. So I will tell you that we absolutely love first-time floods. Kind of like second-time floods, it depends. It depends. Are they in a flood zone? What's the price point of the home? Is it opportunity for owner financing? That's one of the main ways I'm looking at my second-time floods. But we don't like them as much. We're much more willing to wholesale those, although we've bought a couple that we feel okay about. 3+ floods, honestly, don't like them. We're still contracting them, and we are selling them. I contracted a house about right after the floods. Had flooded. That house flooded 3 times in the last year and a half. It flooded on Memorial Day. It flooded in tax day flood, and it flooded in Harvey. Didn't really care to own that property, quite frankly. But guess what? Another investor was willing to pay me $15,000 more to buy the house. Guess what I let them do? So we're really fortunate in our market. I will tell you that. We're really fortunate in the Houston market where we have a strong, healthy economy, a very strong appetite for Houston real estate, not only from our local investors and competition, but people all across the country and across the world, quite frankly. They love Houston real estate. Houston's not going away. I don't care if Harvey comes back next year even stronger. Look at Katrina. When Katrina happened, people like, oh my God, New Orleans is going away. It's never going to make it. And New Orleans is below sea level. Houston is not. Like, we're like an inch higher, whatever it is, but like we're not below. And New Orleans rebounded, and they're nowhere close to the economy and the infrastructure that Houston has. So we're really fortunate. So I want you to think about that, because I know some people are like, oh my God, like buying a flood house, what if it floods again? I'm like, it probably will flood again. You know, at some point in time. I just don't plan on owning it when it does flood again. I plan on being done with that property, and then someone else will deal with that, unfortunately. You know, another example is look at the coastal towns. How many coastal cities, Galveston, for example, have been torn up from a hurricane? Guess what happens? Dementia. 1, 2, 3 years later, completely forgotten. Completely forgotten. There's a reason this is particular companies and investors' business models, storm chasers, so to speak, where they follow like natural disasters. I've met some of them that have come down here and they're looking for like us to wholesale them properties because they see the opportunity, and they know that if you've got these fundamentals, if you've got multiple exit strategies and you've got options, there's a lot of money to be made now. So we love neighborhoods with minor impact, meaning like I have several houses where, yep, my house flooded, but guess what? 5 houses down, it didn't flood. Like part of the neighborhood did, but not the whole neighborhood. Because if the whole neighborhood flooded, there is a stigma with that, right? But some are worse than others. There's neighborhoods with substantial damage, but they're showing signs of recovering much quicker. There's still some neighborhoods you go into right now, they look rough and they look scary. Have we bought some in some of those neighborhoods? Yeah, we bought them cheap, really cheap. And there's some neighborhoods that are like completely devastated. These are the houses, these are neighborhoods that have flooded multiple times. For those of you in the Houston area, Memorial, for example, pretty darn close to what we call devastated, but it was a first-time thing. It was because of the release, and there's signs that it's coming back. There's already a house, for example, our neighbor's house that we bought for $230. They've already renovated, and they're back on the market in the 400s, already on the market. and it's not even comparable to a house. I mean, it's comparable, but it's not the same house as ours. So houses that are located in designated flood zones. So this is something that you need to think about. So whether you're going to do that or not, my answer to this is going to be very similar to a lot of my answers to real estate questions. Is it depends. Okay, it really depends. We are we are not as aggressive in flood zones as we used to be. I will tell you that. There's going to be some FEMA flood maps are constantly being redrawn whenever there is a flood. So we don't know what that's going to look like. Some of these houses that you may be buying, that we're buying, they're not in a flood zone now, but they're about to be. Okay, because they're rezoning. So one thing that I will tell you, like, and I'll have you, I'll give you a strong word of caution here, is that in the Houston market, there's houses that are being considered and classified as substantially damaged, and these are substantially damaged areas, to where the city is going to require them to be lifted. The houses must be torn down and built new, or lifted, and you're talking anywhere from $80,000, I think, is the cheapest that I've heard, to a couple $100,000. So I'll tell you one thing that Nick does, my buyer, is on every deal, he has those zip codes, so we are avoiding those zip codes. So there is risk here, and this is why it's really important that you get equipped and educated to make sure that you don't buy one of those houses, quite frankly. But I say that with a but, because technically we have bought some of those houses. We've wholesaled them. We typically double close, meaning we buy it, close it, and sell it the same day. We've done several of those. We've bought and we've wholesaled 2 houses on Memorial on the same street, and bought another on that same street, 3 houses in Memorial on the same street, several properties in Meyerland. And so there are ways to do it without actually taking possession or buying the home. So that's just something for you to consider.